Keep it locked. 89.5. Keep it locked. 89.5. Keep it locked. Keep it 89.5. 89.5.
Pretty little lady, tell me what's keeping you up at night. 'Cause I see your thoughts and it's keeping you up at times. Pretty little lady, tell me what's keeping you up at night.
Prophecy, 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 prophecy.
'Cause I see your thoughts and it's keeping you up at times. Just don't be fazed by one slightest moment.
Prophecy, 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 prophecy.
Just don't be fazed by one slightest moment.
You don't follow the flow. Created it. 89.5 FM. Real radio.
Prophecy, prophecy, the blueprint.
Yeah, you do, yeah. Look on that pink dress for me. Do your hair a breaker for me? Can you do that for me? And I'll provide the smile that you are looking for. Just don't be fazed by one slightest moment. Just don't be fazed by one slightest moment. Pretty little lady, tell me what's keeping you up at night. Cause I see your thoughts and it's keeping you up at times, yeah. Just don't be fazed by one slightest moment, yeah. Just don't be fazed by one slightest moment. Yeah, you do, yeah.
Yeah. Check one, check two. Good evening, world. I am your host this week, Scott Free, right here on The Prophecy, CIUT 89.5 FM, Sunday nights, 8 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here. 2 hours of drum and bass and jungle.
Dreams are reckless while I'm feeling like I won't wait. Regrets are just the pieces of aspirations we won't make. The disappointment written on your face I can't take. Feel like I'm Samson while I'm holding back an earthquake. One-sided conversations, cravings that I can't control. Or compliments are backhanded, held in a cold embrace. Almost surrounded cause I never knew who I should thank. Maybe love's just a finishing line with a lonely race. We know what's coming so we squint and brace. Don't know the flavor but we know the taste. Infinite time but ain't got none to waste. Should be equal but these hypocrites just tip the scales. Like a sports car with no brakes on snakes pass. While I'm climbing up these ladders let these snakes pass. Faded bull in a china shop I break glass. It's transparent I was absent at the fakes class.
Sounds of Break on the remix of LSB and DRS, High as She. Kicked off this week's broadcast with the sounds of Zero T, Slightest Moment remix. As always, make sure you're following the Prophecy FM account on Instagram at Prophecy FM. And of course, make sure you're following me on all social media at ScottFree_DJ on Twitter, Instagram, Mixcloud, Scott Free on Facebook. And of course, make sure you're following the Prophecy group on Facebook itself, facebook.com/groups/The Prophecy DNB. It is big time sticky hot in the city of Toronto right now. So we're going to be playing some summer vibes to kick off. Some Liquid D&B. Going to play you an absolute personal favorite from one of my favorite Canadian artists. Yeah, dug into the vault a little for this one. Sounds of Reflector. This one entitled New Orleans. And if you've been enjoying the Prophecy broadcast with me at the helm, you've heard this one a couple of times over the years. Just love this one. And same with the one coming in next. I probably mixed these together so many times. But when the sun's out and the temp is up, you need that positive vibe, you need that positive energy in your life. So it's all good to go back to some favorites. Sounds of Schematic, Trapped VIP. Big shouts to the homie Dan. And of course, big shouts out to Alex and Reflector out there on the West Coast.
make or break, make or break. When it's make or break, make or break. Make or break, make or break. Make or break, make or break. Just make or break, 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 break.
Into the sounds of the Vanguard Project. This one entitled Launchers. The one before that. Woo! Absolute personal favorite by one of the great drum and bass producers that went on to become so much more. producing for huge UK pop acts like Lily Allen. Into the sounds of Channel 2. This one entitled Lost Love. Out now on Rocksteady. Shouts to the General Marcus Visionary and DJ Lush.
Lost me love up on the Queens Highway. Lost me love up on the Queens Highway. Never get it back until the, never get it back until the, never get it back until the very next day. Lost me love up on the Queens Highway. Lost me love up on the Queens Highway. Never get it back until the, never get it back until the, never get it back until the very next day.
Now into the sounds of Bill and Ed. Lionel Joseph, Decision on the remix. Shouts to Damon. I want to say now that we're about 25 minutes into the broadcast, just want to remind y'all again, Scott Free at the helm this week at Prophecy FM on Instagram, Prophecy Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/The Prophecy DMB, at Scott Free _DJ on Twitter, Instagram, Mixcloud, Scott Free on Facebook. Big shouts to my fellow co-hosts, Mr. Brown, Valiant MC, Polaris. We got some real groundbreaking news coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. But gonna hop back in the mix. 25 years the Prophecy has been on CIUT, and we're appreciative of everyone who's tuned in over that time. Day one, brand new listeners, much love to all of y'all for your support. Make sure you're spreading the love. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Get the coordinates set. 89.5 FM. Yeah, this one sounds of Jubei, entitled Barracuda, out on his Carbon Music imprint. And the one before this, sounds of Chimpo and Sambinga, featuring Slay, entitled Murder Them. Sending shout outs to all the long time and dedicated regular listeners: James St. Bass, Sean Rice, Neela Farr, Thomas and Trixie, Adam Long, Adam Lind. I just love that there's a guy named Adam Lind that listens to me on the radio. And as someone who regularly cheers for the Blue Jays, y'all know the connection. Yeah. This one, Sounds of Watch the Ride, entitled Abyss, out now on Gutter Funk. The one before that is Andy Scopes and Madcap Scatter, which I believe is out now on Dispatch. It really was a shame that we lost Andy Scopes just over 2 years ago. Still, some of his production is filtering out now, as this EP demonstrates. So make sure you're going out and copping all Andy Scopes material once it does hit. Coming in next with the sounds of Jomari. Shouts to the Dungeon Crew. This one on Liquid and Gunshot. Yeah, I just want to take a quick second and send a big shout out to everyone that did make a donation, make a pledge, became a member during the spring membership drive for CIUT. You are still able to make a donation now. Maybe at the time you were unable, now you are. So still go take a look at the CIUT website, www.ciut.fm. Look for the Donate Now button. You can still contribute to keeping one of the most diverse, programmed station on the FM dial in North America on the airwaves. Like I said, this one, Jamari Yanahir, out on Liquid and Gunshot, coming in next with the sounds of Bruckout. Sending it out to the one like Tim, DJ Opal, giving me a signal he'll be tuned in.
I'm a soldier.
Yeah, sending this one out to Justin Fitzpatrick. Gonna be tuned in. This one, Bruckout, Soldiers.
And I will not try to convince you I'm worthless of our cause.
Just about 10, 12 minutes left in the first hour. If you're just tuning in where you've been, we've been rolling out the beats as we always are. Make sure you are sharing the posts, sharing the 411, the information, getting a friend tuned in, getting a family member tuned in, getting your gran or your gramps, whoever. Make sure you're telling a friend to get the coordinates set. 89.5 FM, scot-free, in the mix and blend.
You all know why I'm here. Not an orator. And I will not try to convince you of the worthiness of our cause. I'm a soldier. And I will not try to convince you I'm worthiness of our I'm a soldier.
Yeah, rounding out the first hour with this one. I told you I pulled out some personal favorites. Let's get you caught up. After Bruck Out, sounds of E9, Ignit. After that, Hexa, tune entitled Planes, out on 31 Recordings. This one, Spy, Total Science, and every summer sad boy knows the words to this one. Sounds of Grim, Cold Fresh Air. Cold Harsh Air. Whoops. Is it even fair to make a drum and bass tune called Cold Harsh Air when there's a classic called Cold Fresh Air? This song must be stricken from all records now. It is unacceptable because I made a mistake on the radio. Removed from the history of this genre. Now, just kidding. Shouts to Jeff. Listen to this man.
We're nearing our goal of raising $100,000, but we still need that extra push to put us over the top. Introducing our 11th hour draw. We're giving away 2 home studio recording packages complete with microphones, boom stands, and interface. Valued at over $500 each. Donate $89.50 before June 25th and be entered into this draw and our grand prize draw. Go to CIUT.FM and click donate to help support the sound of your city.
CIUT 89.5, the sound of your city. Stream CIUT at www.ciut.fm.
Keep it locked. 89.5. Keep it locked. 89.5. Keep it locked. Keep it 89.5. 89.5. 89.5.
Yes, we are into hour 2 of this week's edition of The Prophecy. Sounds of Data 3. This one entitled Atomic. And I cannot express in enough words how much I think Data 3 are amazing. One of my absolute favorite producers right now. Every release is absolute fire. This EP has got so many great tunes on it. So go search it out. Data 3, this one entitled Atomic. Hour 2 in the mix, scot-free. Let's go. Yes! We're taking it into that wonderful neuro sound right now. Take a quick minute to shout out the inner circle. Shouts to Derek, shouts to Madeline. Shouts to the newest member of the Prophecy family, Ellis Rowe. And of course, her mom and dad, Miss Maya and Craig. And of course, a shout out to the lovely Christine. And the Mini Freeze. Yeah, that's 2 tracks back to back featuring the one like Submotive. One half now of the defunct production outfit known as Ulterior Motive. This one, DLR and Submotive, Blipped on the Head, out now on Sofa Sound. The one before that, Mirror Man and Submotive, Testament, out on Guidance Music. And it's weird. Go back to the shoutouts. You know, there's 2 Mini Free. You know? But saying Mini Freeze sounds like Mini Freeze. Like a freezy. And it's weird to say. Should I call them the Mini Fry? I don't know. Somebody tweet at me. Message me at ScottFree_DJ on Twitter, Instagram, Mixcloud. What should I be calling them? They're mini-me. I'm free, but there's 2 of them. Freeze sounds like freeze, and fry, oh, that's not the same. But, you know, we'll figure it out. Collectively, as a community, we'll get this. important to turn the microphone on. Sounds of NC-17 and the Boss.
86 carats. Where? London. 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 London? Yes, London. You know, fish, chips, cup of tea, bad food, worse weather, Mary Poppins, London.
Yeah, so just gave you a little NC-17 3-pack there. Like I said earlier, NC-17 and the Voss Force Majeure. That came out on Playas.
You know.
And then it was NC-17 Howling in Silence, out now on Pete's current release on Dispatch, A Most Violent Year Part 1. And then dug out another NC-17 and the Voss classic entitled Pull Up.
London.
This one now, tune's entitled London by Dubhead. And I want to know how many people are going to go back and watch the absolute classic that is the movie Snatch now after hearing this.
You know, London. You know.
Yo, if Snatch is not your favorite Guy Ritchie film, I want you to tweet at me, message me, tell me which one is, either in the Prophecy group or at Scott_DJ on Twitter.
86 carats.
If it ain't Snatch, what is it?
London.
Is it Lock, Stock?
London.
Is it Rock and Rolla?
Yes,
Is
London.
it something else? Better not be that Madonna movie, though.
Fish, chips, cup of tea, bad food, worse weather, Mary Poppins, London.
Yeah. This one, sounds of Emzyme, The Dread, out on 31. The one before that, sounds of Trex, Stress Test, on Binary, the sister label to Critical Music. Gonna take a moment to make sure I shout out all the crews that have been doing their part to keep drum and bass out there, available, and heard throughout all this. Shouts to Fat 32 Studios. Shouts to Toronto Jungle. Shouts to Bruckout Sessions. Shouts to Juncture Music. Shouts to everyone who's been doing what they can to keep drum and bass and jungle available for folks to listen to while we've been socially distanced. Things are starting to open up here in Ontario. And I, for one, am very excited to be able to, in the near future, see some friends, see some family, maybe even share a stage with somebody in the near future. All things are positive. Let's keep that positive energy flowing, rolling, moving forward.
Keeping it raw, nothing less or more. I score every time for sure. Keeping it raw, nothing less or more. I score every time for sure. Keeping it raw.
Make my mark, target like a yardie, straight blood clot. Dirty with them call me, okay from the start, from the reading very naughty. Fucking out the reading like a dick in a punani. Everything real, nothing ya fugazi. Everything feel like it's getting kinda starving. Getting at the vibe, my we ride a army. We bringing in the white G like tsunami. Rock with them. Sick with them, dark with them, bad with them, ride with them, rock with the boss. Everything, everything. Rock with the boss, fucks with the sauce. Rock with the rock with the boss, fucks with the saucy. Scotch bonnet talk, fire now the party. Head top last, anytime they call me. That's just cause man sharper than a sharpie. Make my mark, target like a yardie. Straight blood clot, dirty where them call me. Monkey from the start, from the reading very naughty. Fucking out the reading like a dick in a punani. Everything boss. Everything. Rock with the boss, fucks with the sauce. Fucking out the rhythm. Fucking out the rhythm. Everything dark, everything nasty, everything sick. When we jamming like Marley, back a sound dead, but I better you no ask me. Who do the kidding, Regine? This a no take cash. This a just the sauce, dripping in your party. Everything cool, yeah, we stepping in calmly. Going in while skate, try and say it gnarly. Ever see me slack on a track, by your bar me, ras. Boss. Everything, everything dark. Everything, rock with the rock with the rock with the boss.
Yeah, just about 20, 21, 22 minutes left in this week's edition of The Prophecy. Sounds of the Sauce featuring Fox. This one, Everything Boss. Fox has got a new LP about to drop on the North Quarter. It's going to be absolutely bananas, no question. Once again, make sure you are following The Prophecy on social media at Prophecy FM on Instagram, The Prophecy Group on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/The Prophecy DNB, and of course, Scott_DJ, Twitter, Instagram, Mixcloud, Scott Free on Facebook. The more I see people following from the show, I'll post more. You give me some, I'll give you some.
Everything boss. Watch your line. Deep in the sauce. Sick with them, dark with them, bad with them, ride with them, rock with the bass, fox with the sauce. Everything dark, everything nasty, everything sick. When we jamming like Marley, back a sound dead, but I better you no ask me. Who do the kidding, Regine? This a no take cash. This a just the sauce, dripping in your party. Everything cool, yeah, we stepping in calmly. Going in while skate, try and say it gnarly. Ever see me slap on a drop by your army, brass.
Yes, some back-to-back Rene LaVice. This one, Darkness. I think this is one of, if not the most recent release on his Device imprint. The one that before that entitled Eyes, alongside Future Cut. Big shouts to Renee. I mean, is there a bigger Toronto export in drum and bass than Rene LaVice? Currently in drum and bass. To be debated. Yeah, getting into the last couple of songs for this week's broadcast of The Prophecy. Currently into the sounds of Jonah K, entitled Unearthed. One of many local Toronto producers. The one before this, Levela and Ways the Devil. And I've said before, I mean, I think I pronounced that producer's name right. 3 vowels in a row, A-E-Y. I mean, what are you doing? You're making us all guess out here who have to pronounce your name on the internet, on the radio. So I'm saying Ways. W-A-E-Y-S. And Levela. The new Levela EP on Critical, the Jacked EP. Oh my goodness, so great. Make sure you go cop that. Coming in next are the sounds of K-Motion and Simula. Yeah, like I said, this one, K-Motions and Simula, Flex. Next one gonna be the last one for this week's edition of The Prophecy. So appreciative of anybody tuning in this week. We know you could be anywhere, you could be anywhere in the world, but you choose to be with us. Gonna wrap up with a personal favorite from the one like the General Marcus Visionary. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Equalizing Distort at the top of the hour. As always, the most unique programming on the FM dial is right here on CIUT 89.5 FM. This is Scott Free signing out. Much love.
Walk on the folk, give them death, yeah.
Fucking with much money, boy, you next, yeah, yeah. I'ma tell them big boys in the text, yeah, yeah. They gon' get a flat like a desk, yeah, yeah. Give them that, yeah. Fucking with much money, boy, you next, yeah, yeah. I'ma tell them big boys in the text, yeah, yeah. They gon' get a flat like a desk, yeah, yeah. Walk another folk, give them that, yeah. Fucking with much money, boy, you next, yeah, yeah. I'ma tell them big boys in the text, yeah, yeah. They gon' get a flat like a desk, yeah, yeah. Walk another folk, give them that, yeah. Fucking with much money, boy, you next, yeah, yeah. I'ma tell them big boys in the text, yeah, yeah. They gon' get a flat like a desk, yeah, yeah. Say they got the ass for they gon' get,
Why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to me?